Welcome to a special episode of the Grumpy Brothers podcast. I am Chris Ludvigsen, joined by Ted. Say hey, Ted.
Hey, Ted.
Thank you to our listeners. Please subscribe and listen on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Odyssey, and also please follow us on Millions.co. Ted and I are doing something a little bit different here. We're doing something through a different method here on Millions, so hopefully this will work out well and everybody will enjoy it. And we've got a single topic tonight, which is the Baseball Hall of Fame Contemporary Committee. I think I've got the nomenclature
Right.
correct,
Right.
Ted.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think the
Okay.
word era is in there. ERA might be a contemporary era committee. I don't know. It might, I
Ah,
think it's in there. I think so.
that actually makes sense because
Yeah.
so now this is a fairly new phenomenon, correct?
I think it's kind of a rebrand of the Veterans Committee, is what I read
Okay,
somewhere.
so so they're not doing the Veterans Committee anymore.
Yeah, I think they've broken it into two things. I think this is for players after, say, like 1950 or 60, and then I think they
Yes.
still have a, you know, ancient times black and white TV. A radio broadcast occasionally, they bring somebody,
With
in for
Mel
that.
Allen doing, how
Right,
about
right, yeah.
that? Whatever he
Yeah,
used to say. What was his catchphrase?
yeah, how about that? Yeah, that
Was
was
it?
it,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Channeling our great father Ted, who was probably listening intently to all of Mel Allen's calls in his beloved Brooklyn Dodgers in the black and white era and the radio era. So, Ted, the Contemporary Era Committee has 16 members,
Yeah,
including seven Hall of Famers,
right,
six baseball executives,
yeah,
and then three writers slash historians.
right.
And
I
in
think
order
I
to
should
get
be in on one of those.
unknown podcaster,
Yeah, I think why not?
it's as good as being. Hey,
It
Ted,
is good.
I think you deserve just as much of a vote as Jason Stark does, but that's a whole separate
Oh,
issue.
I don't know, he's pretty well, he's pretty in he was a writer, so I can't, and he covered the Phillies for a long time, so yeah.
Oh, that makes him a good person as far as you're concerned?
Well, no, it just makes him, I think, a little more knowledgeable.
Yes, yes. Okay, and to get elected, Ted, you have to get 75% or 12 of the 16 votes. And this year, only Jeff Kent was selected. Now, we'll get to Jeff in a moment, but first, let's go through the total list of players that were on the ballot. We've got Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Gary Sheffield, Kent, Carlos Delgado, Dale Murphy, Don Mattingly, and Fernando Valenzuela. Now, let me start here, Ted.
Yeah.
There are three players, Bonds, Clemens, and Sheffield. Bonds and Clemens definitely are first ballot Hall of Famers without the steroid cloud. 100%, correct?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go through them individually, if you're doing a go ahead,
Well,
because
here's my
I looked up some I looked up some statistics kind of to sort of make the point that they are first ballot Hall of Famers pre-steroids.
well, and I think
Even without them using steroids.
and the interesting thing is I have to go back and look at it now. And Ted, I'm prepared here because I'm using my phone.
Yeah.
I can also at the same time look up um, uh, stats while we do this. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I remember is right at the end of Roger Clemens' tenure with the Red Sox,
Right.
he was starting to go down a little bit.
As would be expected.
Right now,
13
let's
years.
let's look up Clemens. What
Well,
we would consider.
I did a little dive. He did 13 years with the Red Sox,
Yep,
won 192 games,
yep,
3.06 ERA, and
yep,
2590 strikeouts,
yep.
right? Three Cy Youngs, one MVP.
Mhm.
Now, aside from the wins, all the rest of it is, Hall of Fame, just stamp his ticket and he
Mhm.
goes. Now,
Mhm.
then he goes to Toronto for 2 years and wins 41 games,
But
where
now let's stop.
that's where the
Let's stop there
steroids
for a
hit.
moment. Let's stop there for a moment, Ted.
Yeah,
1996. Clemens
yeah,
is 33. His last year with the Red Sox.
yeah,
He starts 34 games and goes 10-13 with a 3.63 ERA. Now, if that was, and then a couple of years before that, at age 30, he was 11-14 with a 4.46 ERA. Now he had one really good year in there, but there was in a 4-year window there, let's see if I can quickly count this up. 20, 40, let's see, 40, 21, 26, 40 and 20, 40 and 39, it looks like to me over a 4-year period
Yeah,
at the end of his. So
right.
I personally think he went to Toronto and immediately his 2 years, to your point, he goes a combined 41 and 13 both years. His total ER would have been probably something in the 2.2, 2.3 range combined between those 2 years.
And he wins Cy Young twice.
Okay, now do we think it's reasonable to think that he
Yeah,
started his?
that's about right. Yeah. See, when I looked at these guys, I looked um essentially because like in Clemens and Bond's case, they both started at roughly the same time, and I go to the year 2000
Mm-hmm,
or through 1999.
mm-hmm,
Or as in Clemens' case, I actually look at just his years with the Red Sox.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Now, if you project on the he wasn't being great at that point, so that's why the Red Sox let him walk away, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't trade him; they just let him walk
Right,
away.
right.
But if you project,
Mm.
you said he won 40 games in 4 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So let's say he plays 4 or 5 more years.
And he gets
So if he
another 50
wins,
wins.
gets 40, 50 wins, now he's up to about 240, but he probably gets over 3,000 strikeouts. And 240 something wins, 3,000 strikeouts, pretty much they're going to walk him into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so even without the roids, you think he's a Hall of Famer. Okay.
Had he stayed on the same path, I think he gets into the Hall of Fame because he gets the 3,000 strikeouts, which is the 3,000 is equivalent to 3,000 hits,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's over
Now,
200 wins.
now let's do Bonds also in the same regard, Ted.
Okay, so
So
Bonds.
go
Well,
ahead.
go ahead. No, I was just going to say Bonds played his first 14 years. He played 7 with the Pirates. He leaves as a free agent, and his next 7 are with the Giants.
Mm-hmm,
I didn't do his batting average, but his batting average is probably 285 because it was 275 with the Giants, or I'm sorry, with the Pirates, and then
mm-hmm,
316 for the rest of his year with the rest of
mm-hmm,
his years with the Giants. So it is going up. So he's probably
mm-hmm,
280, 290 something career
mm-hmm,
at that point. He has in those first 14 years 445 home runs, 460 stolen bases,
mm-hmm,
drives
mm-hmm,
in 1,299 runs, wins
mm-hmm.
3 MVPs, 7 Gold Gloves, 6 Silver Sluggers, and is an 8-time All-Star. He doesn't even have to play anymore.
He's
He's
in.
in. He's
Okay,
in. Now,
okay.
and if you say, well, he plays another 5 years and his numbers sort of come down a little bit. He was averaging a 30-30 for his career, 32 and 35 with 93 RBIs. So if you just say he had a bad knee after that, he couldn't run. But if you were to say, let's say for the next 4 or 5, he plays 4 more years, he hits 25 home runs a season.
Yeah,
Now he's
yeah,
well over 500.
yeah.
I mean, he's an easy Hall of Fame. It's easy,
Yes,
it's automatic,
yes.
If you
Okay,
just base it on those first 14 years, he walks into the Hall of Fame.
okay. Now I don't know when Sheffield's roid thing started, but his numbers are pretty impressive. Also, Ted, 22 seasons, 292, almost 2,700 hits, 509 home runs, over 16 RBIs. Without the RBI, without the roids, he's in also. Correct?
See, he's kind of an odd. It's a little odd. If you look at his career, it's very up and down
Hmm.
until you get to a point somewhere in the steroids type era, and then all of a sudden he becomes this kind of like home run hitting. Uh, and he hits a lot more home runs. He drives in a ton of runs. His average goes up. It's like, and it's 7-10 year deal.
Ah,
And to me, it's erratic. His early career is erratic, and then where you see the steroid potential, because nobody knows whether he took them or not.
right.
He's on the list of people who have been suggested took them. He's kind of an example of somebody that you go, I don't know, that
Yeah,
could be
Ted.
a
He has a
yeah,
window from '99 through 2005 where he's consistently hitting between 30 and 40 home runs, driving
right.
in well over 100 runs, and hitting consistently close to 300 or above. So
And
he
he's
has that.
before that, he
It's
has
all, you're exactly right.
it's
It's up
all
and
over the
down all
place.
over the place. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
after that, he has an injury, he sort of declines, and he's out of there. So I have less. Um, thought of him as a
certainty.
Hall of Famer.
Okay, well, let's
Yeah,
back up a
yeah,
second then. Let's do this. Let's just say Bonds and Clemens.
yeah.
I think you've always been of the position. Let me don't put words in my mouth. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. Do they belong in the Hall of Fame with the 99% certainty that they did steroids? Do they belong in?
I think Bonds is certainly when you're averaging 30 and 30 for 14 years and you've won multiple gold gloves and MVPs and all that, I don't see how he's, I think
His.
if he could not have played after he had the knee injuries
Hmm.
and he had to stop after 14 years, I think he walks into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Easy.
yeah.
Clemens a little different. Clemens had to get some more wins and he had to get the 3,000 strikeouts. But had he played at the level he was playing with um, Boston,
With Boston at the
even
end of
at
the
the
year.
end, I
Yeah,
think he gets there and he's just
yeah.
looked
He
at as
gets enough.
a power
He gets
pitcher
it.
who declines.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so but Ted, with the steroid cloud,
Yeah.
do they both belong or does neither belong?
Well, clearly everybody thinks that they don't belong
No, I'm not.
because
I'm not. I'm asking your
well,
opinion. Do they belong? You're the king of
here's
baseball.
yeah,
You're the
okay.
gatekeeper.
Okay. Well, see, here's the thing. I think that in particularly in their case, and I think in probably Sheffield as well, um, they were how do I want to say difficult, difficult with the press,
Hmm.
difficult, with
Hmm. Hmm.
the. So I think guys because Ivan Rodriguez and David Ortiz are in the Hall of Fame. They are
Hmm.
certainly on the list of potential, right? They were guys
Hmm.
that were thought of, but
Yeah.
people like them. They were popular people. I can go back, to Steve Carlton. Steve Carlton wouldn't talk to the press after he got to Philadelphia and somebody wrote something bad about him, but they still put him in the Hall of Fame. So there must have been something that these three guys, they must have just completely disregarded and just. I just think, but if I'm the king of baseball, yeah,
Hmm.
they probably go in because if you're putting those 2 guys in, just because you don't like them, doesn't
Hmm.
mean you shouldn't put them in.
So
Sheffield, less so.
does that mean Alex Rodriguez goes in?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, his numbers were, insane because
Yes.
I mean, he said he only did it for what, a year or 2. Yeah, who knows? I mean, but his numbers are
Yeah.
justifiably, look, the other thing is baseball can't really say. I mean, it's really hard for me to say because first off, they didn't have rules about this when it started,
Hmm.
right? So,
Hmm.
and they celebrate Gaylord Perry.
Mm.
Gaylord Perry cheated his way into the Hall of Fame and was unabashedly, uh, told you that he did it. And yeah, well, this is great. He's a folksy guy. We love him, and he won 300 games, but he threw spitballs when they weren't allowed. So, yeah. I mean,
That's an interesting point,
here's the
Ted.
thing. They only have one rule. Prior to the drug testing, they only had one rule. Don't bet. That's why
Yeah.
Pete Rose is in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Mark McGuire had his bottle of
Right.
I guess human growth hormone or whatever it was, or
Yeah,
basically
in his
sitting in his
locker.
locker. Anybody could walk up and see it anytime they wanted. All
Yeah.
right,
So I
now.
mean, it's a tricky issue. I think that uh I just think that a lot of it is they don't like these particular people
Hmm.
because if you're letting these 2 guys in you like, I don't see how you can not let guys in because he how about Rafael Palmeiro went 3,000 hits, 500 home runs, and then
He
but he lied to it appears he lied to
wagged his
Congress.
finger.
Right, yeah.
Wagged his finger. All right, let me do something else here, Ted. I was getting ready to do something as you were talking, and I want to do this right here. I want to do Pro Baseball. This is my go-to site, Ted. Pro
Yeah.
Baseball Reference. Um, Here's what I want to do: all-time home runs. What I want to see is how far down the list we have to go of guys that are in the Hall. Okay, so
Okay.
obviously Bonds is not, but then you got, let's see, A Rod is not. He got in, correct?
Who's that? Tomei?
Jim
Yeah, Tomei.
Tomey.
Yeah, he's in.
Okay, so now let's see, how far do we have to get to? Let's see here. So let's see here. Bonds is not in. Pujols will be in. He'll walk in. A-Rod is
Sosa,
not.
Sosa,
Sosa is not. McGuire is
McGuire.
not. Palmaro. Manny Ramirez is not going to get in. Ortiz is number 17. He's in. Now let's see here. Oh, okay. Sheffield is 27.
Yeah.
Okay. And Cabrera is going to go in. Thomas is in. I think everybody else above him before you get to the steroid guys are in.
Yeah, right. Or
Let's see.
going to be in. Yeah.
Eddie Murray's in. Did McGriff get in, Ted?
Yeah, he was the
Okay,
guy
so here
last
you
year.
go, Ted. So here you go. Adrian Beltre is number 31 on the list, and
He's
he
in.
got in, and
Yeah.
Sheffield did not.
Right.
Or yeah. Okay, now let's go to the guys that did get elected this time around. And it's one guy, Jeff Kent. And this is an interesting conversation, Ted, because you're talking about guys who are not likable. My
Right.
understanding is that Jeff Kent fit into that category of guys who are not likable.
Yeah, but yeah, it would seem that way. He moved around quite a bit.
Now, let's
Um,
go through the numbers.
yeah,
If you make him exclusively a second baseman, which he played at
right,
the tail end of his career and primarily in his Halcyon days with the Giants and Barry
right.
Bonds, as a second baseman, his offensive stats are impressive and hard to argue. 290 career batting average, 377 home runs, 1,518 RBI, 2,461 hits. His best years come in San Francisco. Included in that was his 2000 MVP season. He hit 334, 33 home runs, 125 RBIs. Now, I want to see how far down the list we have to go. I'm thinking, Ted, if you make him exclusively a second baseman, I'm trying to think if there's a second baseman above him with
No,
more career home runs.
no. According to when that was I was watching Baseball Network that night that they announced it. Of the people who played 75% of their games at second base, he hit like 300 and, I don't know, 300.
377
No, but
total,
I
but
mean,
how many did
as
he hit as a second
a
baseman?
second
Okay.
baseman, it was like 340 or something like that, and he is far and away the most at second base. I think
So here,
Robinson Cano is next at
okay,
315 or something like that.
okay, so here's the question, Ted. Is this a case? Is Jeff Kent a case of a guy who was not likable by the writers? Because we have to remember what we're going to call the regular Hall of Fame election
Right.
process is with writers
Writers, right.
exclusively.
Media. I think some TV guys can do it
Okay,
now, right? But media, yeah.
okay, but media guys and primarily writers and
Right.
primarily guys that
Primary.
are spending every day of their life with baseball
Around them.
players
Yeah.
in locker rooms.
Right.
And so they know these baseball players very, very well. And Kent
Right.
always came off as a difficult interview. Let's just call it that
Right.
way.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So is Jeff Kent a guy who got uh, blackballed by the writers because they did not like him and deserved to be in? Or is this a case of a guy who had an incredible run because he hit behind or in front of Barry Bonds and maybe wasn't as great a player, but he just got fastballs because no one wanted him on base with Bonds hitting behind him?
Well, look, he hit 290. He could always hit, right? He played I looked at he averaged about 135 games a year. So he's playing a lot. He played some third, he played some first. So he was never, nobody's going to say he's the second base version of Ozzie Smith,
No,
right? He,
no,
he
no.
never won a Gold Glove, any of
What
that
was
kind of
your
stuff.
what was your statement that as a second baseman he's a great hitter
He's
when
a
you were
great hitter.
talking
Yeah.
when you
Let's
were talking about
Teoscar
Teoscar
Hernandez.
Hernandez?
Yeah, great hitter. Yeah, but he was playing second base. Uh, he was arguably the best power hitting second base because as a second baseman, primarily with the Giants, I don't remember if he played if he played in Candlestick and the New Park or just in the New Park, but neither of those places is easy to hit home runs in. So, um, I think it's more when you ask your question, I think it's more the former than the latter. I mean, he benefited from having Bonds hit behind him, no question, but you still have to take advantage of it. And he was always a good hitter. Everywhere he went, he could hit. It's just, he wasn't a great fielder, and maybe he was problematic. I don't know.
Yeah. Um, so Ted, you approve of this
Yeah, I
selection?
think so. The only thing that I was just surprised he was the only one in.
Okay.
I
Now
thought I
let's
thought
go
that
through
I
the
thought
let's
that
go through the
I
other
thought that
guys.
Bonds and or Clemens would get in with because they were with
Let's take the
players involved.
steroid guys off the table
Yeah.
for now.
Okay.
Okay, let's focus on what I think are the one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four remaining guys:
Right. Right.
Delgado, Murphy, Mattingly, and Fernando. Okay.
Okay.
Now, do any of these guys jump out to you as, oh my gosh, how are they? How did they not get in?
Delgado,
Why?
473 home runs, no hint of steroids during the steroid era. I mean, that guy was you know, he was unbelievably for a long time, just a consistent 30 plus homers, right around 100 RBIs, good batting average. Again,
Yeah, he
not
finished his career with a 280 batting average, only 2,038 hits. But okay, Ted,
a lot of
let's
power,
see if there's
a lot of
any. So
power.
Ted, other than the steroid guys, so
Yeah,
Willie Stargell is right above him, and Stan Musial and Stargell are tied at 475 home runs. Then Beltre, then McGriff, then Gehrig, and then you get into all the guys that we know are going to be in. So he is, other than the steroid guys, and other than the guys that are just recently retired, including Miguel Cabrera and Pujols. And I'm just trying to see if there's anybody else on this list that is a recent guy that's not in other than steroids. Yeah. So other than Pujols and
Cabrera. Yeah.
Cabrera, he has the most career home runs that's not in.
Yeah, I mean, he's got more home runs than Chipper Jones. He's got more home runs than Carl Yastrzemski, who are both in. And I was looking him up to see if for some reason there was a steroid link to him, but it didn't. But apparently, his career more or less ended because he had a bad hip, and they tried
Mm.
to, he tried to have a couple different operations, and it didn't work. And he just said, "Okay, I can't play anymore." Well, then because there was no drop off until he got hurt.
Mm.
He was still hitting 25, 30 home runs every year. So he just got hurt and couldn't play anymore. But he could, it's conceivable he could have gone to the American League and been a full time DH and easily had
Ted, you
five
make
home.
an excellent point here. At 36 years old, playing for the Mets, he hit
No
271.
DH. And remember, that's no DH in those days. He had to play.
So he hit 271, played 159 games, 38 homers, 115 RBI at 36. And then the following year, he only plays 26 games,
Right.
and that's the end of his career.
Right. I mean, he had a hip injury that was tore his labrum in his hip or something, and then had just never got fixed. And so I mean, it's conceivable the way he was going that he would have easily been over 500 home runs if he had played another 4 years. Right? He could have potentially approached 580 or 590. So
Well, he retired at 37, Ted, but he did hit
okay,
30. He hit
yeah.
in the three previous seasons, he hit 30, 30, and 32. So in the three previous seasons, he had 92 home runs. So if he plays another two seasons, he gets up to 525.
Yeah, right. Yeah, potentially. Yeah. If he has just his norm, even if he has a slight drop off, he certainly gets over 500.
Yeah. And then
So,
he's a walk-in guy.
yeah, right. I mean, but I think in the same way that Fred McGriff kind of just got overlooked. I think
Mm,
he got overlooked, and I'm surprised that he was the guy when I looked through this that I was really surprised didn't get in. I
interesting.
just thought it was like those numbers kind of jump off the page at you, and there's no link to anything.
Now, I
Which
want
is
to
as
leave
interesting about Jeff Kent too, is there's no link to anything in this. He
mm.
played in the steroids era too. So
All right, now Ted, I want to leave Murphy and Mattingly as a comparison. So let's go from Delgado to Fernando Valenzuela.
yeah,
Now, Ted, I don't see why I mean, other than that incredible rookie season when he won the Cy Young and the Rookie of the Year with Ted, his numbers, I guess, I mean, he didn't pitch a full season, so I guess that's why he earned it. 13 and 7, 248. Okay. But Ted, here's the rest of his numbers for a 17-year career: 173 wins, 153 losses, 3.54 ERA, and a 1.32 whip. Sorry, it's not good enough.
no, um, I was watching Matt Visurgian, who is from Southern California on the baseball
Mm,
network, said, he would like to see Fernando in because for his 10 years, and if you oftentimes they grade them over a 10-year period, his first 10 years with the Dodgers, he won 130 some odd games, which doesn't sound like, okay, he won 13 games a year, but um, it was like 3rd in the big leagues or in the National League in that time frame, and he was, 2nd in ERA over that period, and he pitched the most innings, and he had the most shutouts. So he for that 10-year period, he was great, and he and his and Resurgence thing was that, his cultural impact, which was
okay.
tremendous. It was tremendous. There's no disagreeing with that. Fernando was much see TV because every game wasn't on TV. So when he did pitch on TV, it was, if you were a baseball fan, it was much must watch TV. That all being said, he didn't no. It's just not enough. There's
Yeah.
just not enough there to me.
Okay. Now,
'Cause his career did felt, but they showed some film of him in his early. That's he didn't throw super hard, and I think that's
no.
one of the reasons that he fell off. But man, oh man, that when he had the screwball working, it was like Mariano's cutter. You knew it was coming, couldn't hit it. You
Couldn't hit
know,
it.
yeah.
All right. Now,
So
Ted, I want to go to the Murphy Mattingly comparison.
yeah,
All right. So here's Murphy, 18 seasons,
yeah,
265 batting average, 2,111 hits, 398 home runs, 1,266 RBI, two-time MVP, five-time Gold Glove. Mattingly, 14 seasons, 307 batting average, 2,153 hits, only 222 home runs, 1,079 RBI, an MVP season, four-time Gold Glove, batting title, and then Manager of the Year in his post-playing career. And I want to get to that. And he was the bench coach for the Blue Jays this year, and he did a great job for a little while running a
right,
Marlins team that had very little
right.
talent on it. Let me start with this. Let's just start with on the field playing days. Do you think Murphy or Mattingly both neither belong in?
Murphy.
Really? Why?
Well, I did again. I did something, and you ran those numbers 18 years and all that. But I looked at because I took Matt Vasurgian's 10-year, window of
Mm,
dominance, right? So I looked at him his 13 years, not his first 2 with the Braves where he's kind of in and out of the lineup, but I took
mm-hmm,
13 years and his
mm-hmm.
numbers were 28 home runs, 96 RBIs, and then like a 270 batting average. And then you add 2 MVPs in there, all-stars, multiple gold gloves, silver sluggers, all that kind of stuff. And compared him to a Hall of Famer. And I'm going to who played at roughly the same time. This guy won a Rookie of the Year, an MVP, 6 Gold Gloves, 6 All Stars, and for roughly the same period. I mean, I'm talking almost the same years, and for the same number of years, right? 13 seasons. This guy played for 2 different teams. Uh, Averaged 25 homers, 86 RBIs, 279, stole a ton of bases, and walked into the Hall of Fame. And he was in the National League at basically the same time. A little earlier. His career started a little earlier than Murphy's, but uh, also primarily a center fielder early in his career, and he walked in. So when I compared these two, and it was Andre Dawson. So when you look at those two sets of numbers compared to each other, um, and remember Murphy had a couple. If you have his numbers up, you look. He played a ton of games. He had a stretch where he played over 1,000 games in a row in Atlanta in the heat and humidity. That had to wear on him at some point. Um, so I think, if you're looking at careers in 10, 12-year, 13-year, 15-year windows as being an excellent, top end player, I think he's got to go. Whereas Mattingly was great for like 4 or 5 years, and then he hurt his back, and he didn't have the power before, and then after he hurt his back, he didn't. He had learned how to hit home runs, and then he just couldn't do it anymore.
Does his
I think if
coaching
he, I,
managing?
I, I think if he won, I think he's like Joe Torre. If he won a World Series as a manager, I
Mm,
think that they would figure out a way to get him in, and maybe they will in time. Maybe I think he's eligible again in 2031 for this contemporary thing. I think that's
Oh, okay. So it's not it's not like you stay on the ballot. So you get
no,
one
no.
shot and then, yeah.
No, then they have to go to some other ballot or some I don't know, something else pops up in 2031. So maybe he gets a job and you know, had Toronto won the World Series this year and he was the bench coach, maybe that would have been enough to put him over the top. I think he's going to get like the baseball life award at some point
Mm,
and get in. Um, that would be my guess. Uh, but it'll be very, you know, it'll be a number of years, I would think. But I just think Murphy, when you compare him to a guy like Andre Dawson, who, you know, he Dawson had a better longer career, a little bit longer career, a little bit better, and the stolen bases may, you know, changes him as a little more complete player. But when you look at the power numbers and you know, for that same period, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty hard to argue that Murphy didn't belong because you
y-
can't compare his power numbers to outfielders today. It's not the same game. They're not doing
mm,
things the same way.
mm.
So, I mean, so I don't know. I mean,
The Dawson comparison is an interesting one because I think the reason Dawson got in was the time he spent in Chicago. And Chicago had, and playing for the Cubs has such a romantic feel to it. And he was so good for a couple year
yes,
window there in
yes.
Chicago. I think people romanticize playing in Wrigley, whereas there's no romanticism playing in Fulton County Stadium
No, no, but
on
he only
bad
played
Braves teams.
he only played but Dawson only played and we're getting away from but he only played in Chicago for like 4 or 5 years. The bulk of his career was with the Expos.
Yeah, but don't you think that time in
Oh, no, no,
Chicago
no question. There's
was
no
what pushed
question
him
about
over
it.
the
Yeah.
top?
The MVP on a really bad team in Chicago. Yes,
And
it really
I think there is very much still a romantic. I think writers put a very strong romantic historical feel on baseball, and uh, on one hand, I kind of like it because the game is more than just what you write down on paper on numbers,
right.
and there is also something to how somebody played the game and did they quote unquote play it the right way. And one thing to your point about Dale Murphy, and to that point, Delgado, all of these guys Delgado, Murphy, Mattingly, all of these guys played the game "quote unquote" the right way.
Right. They were yeah, they were baseball players, right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
So
only
so
all of them have the same flaw. They don't run well.
mm,
But aside from that, and of the 3, Delgado was defensively the least
yes,
yeah, he didn't win any gold gloves or
I
anything.
hadn't
But I don't
realized.
think that bothered that doesn't bother me about his candidacy.
It's interesting. We're getting off the topic again, but I was watching the Baseball Network last night, and they were interviewing, and I hadn't realized that Mattingly's son is now like
Right.
the assistant GM for the Phillies, and the
Oh,
interviewer.
I think he is the GM.
Oh, he is the official GM.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, Dombrowski's president of baseball,
Okay,
so
got it, got it, got it, got it. Okay, so, but somehow the topic of his father and his
right.
father's Hall of Fame candidacy came up, and I can't remember. There were the two players. I can't remember which ones they were that were part of the interview, but I can't remember who the like sort of the commentator was that was doing the interview. But he said, I don't understand the new statistics, the new defensive statistics, because according to the new defensive statistics, your father was not a good first baseman defensively. And he said, but I remember that he was a very good defense. He says, I remember him playing third base at the major league level for a little while because I guess somebody got hurt or whatever. And
Right, right, right,
fielding balls at shortstop and throwing right-handed and looking like a right-handed shortstop. He was that
right, right,
athletic and he was ambidextrous. So he was not a good fielding. He was not a bad fielding. He was not a good fielding. He was a very good fielding first baseman.
right, right. Exactly. Yeah. I'd be curious to see what they what these see, first of all, I don't know how you apply those statistics because um how do you measure them to somebody that hasn't played in 30 years?
Mm,
I don't know how you do that. The game was different in a lot of ways, but I would love to see those statistics applied to like Keith Hernandez, who is still the gold standard.
yeah.
Um, of and by the way, that's another guy that if you're talking about, where we've had this discussion where Ozzie Smith, Bill Mazeroski, and Brooks Robinson are all in the Hall of Fame because they could catch the ball,
Hmm.
right? Particularly in
Hmm.
Mazeroski and Smith's case, they were average
And
hitters,
and Mazeroski has the home run against the
right?
Yankees in the World
Yeah,
Series.
Brooks had a 4 or 5 year deal where he was an excellent hitter,
And Brooks had the World Series against the
and it
Reds.
right, but Hernandez was a much more consistent hitter over his career and is the absolute best fielding first baseman probably of the last 50 or 60
Mm,
years, right? I mean,
yeah.
there's very little argument about that. So,
Okay.
um,
So to wrap this up for the evening, Ted, you're okay with Kent getting in.
yeah, I think so.
You think Delgado and Murphy both belong in,
I do. Yeah.
all right?
And I think Bonds and
And
Clemens
you're
should
okay
be in.
with Bonds and Clemens getting in.
I would be simply if you're going to put in guys on that list of potential steroid users.
I've never understood why David Ortiz gets this pass that he gets. I don't
Or
get
and
it.
and Ivan Rodriguez.
Yeah,
Remember, he kinda
yeah.
blew
He
up
pl- he
the
played with the king of the steroids, the other
Juan Gonzalez.
Juan Gonzalez, Juan Gon. Yeah,
Yeah, but for what, 7 or 8 years, he looked like, the Michelin Man.
yeah, yeah,
And at the beginning of his career, and then by the time he got to the Nationals at the end of his career, he had shrunk back
yeah. He
to his
jumped back to regular Yvonne. Yeah,
regular size.
uh,
Um, and he was, again, great catcher. No 2 ways about it. Potentially, had he just been a pretty good hitter,
mm.
probably goes in
He would have been
anyway.
Yadi Molina.
Yeah, right.
Yadi Molina is going to get in.
Right, yeah, he would have been that. Yeah. So, now
And I
that's
think he
not
would
what
have
he's
been a little bit better hitting version of Yadi
yeah,
Molina.
yeah. Now, I don't think he was thinking about that while he was potentially, possibly bulking himself up illegally, but, for whatever reason, those guys are in. I
Yeah,
so if you're gonna let them in just because you don't like the other guy,
yeah,
I that's kind of a weak argument to me, so.
yeah. Agreed, 100%, 100%.
And the other guy, there's another guy who's not on this list who we didn't talk about, who I think belongs or at least deserves much more consideration, and that's Andy Pettit. Because he is accused, where he admitted to using them as he came back from an injury. I Given what I understand about his personality, I think he's probably telling the truth that he used them just to come
I
back
would
from it.
tend to agree with that. Yeah.
And he won 250 games pitching in Yankee Stadium in the American League East at the height of the steroid era where everybody else was using them. And was there for about 4 or 5 years, was there a better post game pitcher than him?
Smoltz.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, he was, when he started looking over his glove and you just saw his eyes, it was like,
I tell
okay,
you what, if you give
we're
me a
going Pettit
rotation of
to Barry.
Smoltz, if you give me a rotation of Smoltz, Pettit, and Jack Morris, I win a lot of games in the postseason.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you need a fourth, Gibson could probably still come out. But I mean, when Andy Pettit's looking over his top of his
Yeah,
glove and
yeah.
he goes 7, and then they bring in somebody, whoever to pitch
Nelson
the
and
8th.
then Rivera. Yeah,
Right.
or Stanton, Nelson, Stanton, and
And
Rivera. Yeah,
Rivera. Yeah, we're pretty much done here tonight.
game over. Yeah, that that was a good little trio coming out of the pen for about a
Yeah.
5 year window there, Ted. Yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt about it. All right, that was a good discussion, Ted. Let's go ahead and wrap it up for the evening. Thank you again to our fans for listening. Hope you're enjoying these episodes. Um, Please continue to follow us on all of our social media sites. We're here on millions.co. We also have a YouTube channel. We're also on X, Instagram, and Facebook. You can also email us at grumpybrothersports@gmail.com. And with that, we'll say good night, and we promise to do better next time.